On a night so dark, beneath the sky so grim, a party bus rolled out, lights bright and dim. Friends laughed and sang, drinks in hand, unaware of the doom that had been planned. The bus was lively, the music loud, everyone excited, spirits unbowed. But deep in the shadows, eyes did gleam, from creatures of nightmares born of a scream. The road grew twisted, the driver's face pale, as the bus plunged deeper into the dark vale. Windows fogged up, a chill filled the air, a sense of foreboding, the start of despair. First, a young man, full of cheer, was pulled from the bus, his screams clear. Blood splattered windows, cries of pain, terror struck hearts, minds now strained. Demons with claws, eyes burning bright, clawed at the souls, fed on their fright. One by one the friends were slain, their joyous cries turned into pain. A girl in the back, trembling with fear, saw her friend's face, twisted and seared. "Help us," she cried, but none did heed. The bus was now a vessel for evil's need. The driver, a figure in shadows cast, his face a mask, his eyes like glass. With a wicked grin he turned his head, whispering darkly, "Soon you'll be dead." His hands were skeletal, fingers long, guiding the bus, singing a deathly song. A coat of darkness, trailing like smoke, as he laughed and cursed, every word a choke. One by one in a macabre dance, their bodies twisted in a hellish trance. A boy in the back, his chest ripped wide, organs pulled out, his heartbeat died. A girl with blue hair, her limbs were torn, her screams echoed, a sound forlorn. Her fingers snapped off, her eyes gouged out, the demons fed on her fear and doubt. The demons with claws, eyes burning bright, clawed at the souls, fed on their fright. Their skin was like shadow, their teeth sharp and white, wings of tattered darkness, a horrid sight. Eyes of molten lava, burning with hate, mouths that twisted, sealing their fate. Their whispers like knives cutting deep, feeding on sorrow, thriving on weep. Blood on the walls, the floor slick with gore, death's cruel embrace they couldn't ignore. A couple huddled close, hoping to hide, but a shadowy hand dragged them outside. Their bodies were found, twisted and cold, a grim tale of horror silently told. A man with a tattoo, his fate was dire, his skin peeled back, his nerves set on fire. His screams a symphony, a haunting song, his agony eternal, forever long. The bus itself seemed to breathe and moan, its metal frame twisted, its seats overgrown. With tendrils of darkness that slithered and crept, it swallowed the living while the dead now slept. The final girl, with a face pale as death, held on, fearing her last breath. Shadows surrounded, a whisper did say, "Join us now, you cannot sway." Her heart beat fast, tears streamed down, as the bus rode on to the haunted town. The lights flickered out, darkness complete. Her friends were now demons. In death they did meet. The bus came to a halt in a ghostly space where shadows danced and evil set the pace. No one would know of the horrors that night as the party bus vanished, swallowed by fright. So beware the bus with light so bright, for a ride in darkness, death's delight. A lesson in terror, a tale of woe, of a party bus where none should go. To a realm where darkness reigned supreme, where horror lived in every scream. The fun night out, a cruel deceit, for now they danced to a demonic beat. Once upon a midnight dreary, on a night so dark and eerie, a party bus set forth its journey, passengers full of cheer and glee. The bus was decked with lights so bright, music thumping, spirits light, but little did they know their ride would turn into a ghastly night. The driver, tall with eyes of flame, looked back and called each by their name, his voice a low, enchanting growl that made the bravest start to howl. "Welcome, friends, to my domain," he said with a smile so full of pain. "For this is hell, where nightmares dwell, and mortal souls forever wail." The bus drove on through fiery lands, where molten rivers licked the sands, where tortured souls in chains were bound, their screams a most unsettling sound. "See there," the driver pointed out, "the field of eternal drought, where sinners thirst with parched, dry throats, their cries a mournful, ceaseless shout." Through valleys dark and mountains tall, the party bus rolled past them all, through forests black where shadows crept, and demons in the branches leapt. "Beware the trees," the driver hissed. "They hunger for a mortal's kiss. Their roots will bind, their branches flay, and steal your very breath away." The passengers were gripped with fear, their festive mood now far from near, as ghastly sights and horrid sounds filled them with dread that knew no bounds. They passed a lake of boiling blood, where sinners sank into the flood, their cries a symphony of pain as they were dragged beneath the stain. "That lake," the driver said with pride, "is where the greedy souls abide, forever scalded, burned and charred, for they in life were cold and hard. Their wealth amassed through cruel deceit now melts away beneath their feet. A fitting end for those who lust for riches gained by ways unjust. Onward then through haunted plains where spectral figures pulled their chains, and ghastly winds howled through the night, filled with despair and endless fright." The driver laughed, a chilling sound. "The hopeless here are tightly bound by promises they never kept. Their restless souls have never slept." The bus then lurched and turned a bend, revealing horrors without end. A city where the walls did bleed, and monstrous forms did foul misdeed. "Behold," the driver said with glee, "the city of iniquity, where those who sinned without remorse are doomed to walk a twisted course." The passengers, their faces white, clung to each other in the night as visions of the damned and lost paraded by, their paths crisscrossed. "Here liars, cheats, and murderers dwell," the driver chortled. "Welcome to hell. Their wicked deeds in life now haunt, their every step a ghastly taunt." The party bus, now filled with dread, drove through the realms of the dead, past rivers black and skies aflame, each sight a new and dreadful game. "Here every sin is paid in full," the driver mused with voice so dull, "for justice here is swift and sure, a punishment none can endure." The journey seemed to never end as horrors round each bend did bend, with every turn a new despair, each sight and sound beyond compare. The driver's eyes gleamed with delight as he described each fearful sight. With wit so sharp and words so grim, he painted hell on every whim. "That mountain there," he pointed high, "is where the prideful meet their sigh. They climb and climb, but never reach a summit that will never breach. Their hubris was their fatal flaw, now humbled by hell's cruel law. Forever seeking, never found, their pride now broken on this ground." The passengers, now silent, stared into the darkness, unprepared. For every tale the driver spun of horrors where there was no sun. Their terror grew with every mile as they passed through each new vial, and though their hearts were filled with fright, they could not end this ghastly night. The bus rumbled on through hell's grim path, the driver stoking fear and wrath, his voice a chilling, mocking tone that sent a shiver through the bone. "Dear passengers," he cackled low, "there's more for you to see and know, for each of you a special place where you will meet your fated grace." As he spoke, the bus did halt before a massive iron vault, its doors adorned with wailing souls, twisted faces in darkened holes. "This vault," he said, is where we keep the souls who did their kinfolk cheat. Their hands forever claw at gold, their hearts are turned to icy cold. The passengers with eyes so wide peered into that vault inside and saw the damned in endless rows, their misery a constant throe. They clawed and scratched at phantom gold, their bodies bent, their spirits sold, forever cursed to chase their greed, a punishment for every deed. The driver grinned, his eyes alight. Now onward to the next delight, a place where wrathful souls reside, consumed by fire from inside. The bus resumed its haunted trek through lands where horrors intertwined until they reached a fiery pit where angry souls did writhe and flit. Here lie the wrathful, he intoned, their rage a fire that's never honed. They burn within, they burn without, their screams a never-ending shout. The passengers watched in dread and awe as flames consumed each sinner raw, their bodies charred, their faces grim as they were burned limb from limb. The bus then veered to darker lands where demons danced on shifting sands with claws and fangs and eyes of red. They feasted on the newly dead. These demons, said the driver sly, are your companions when you die, for those who reveled in their hate will find these beasts await their fate. The passengers could hardly breathe as demons tore through flesh and sheath, their laughter high, their pleasure clear, a scene to fill each heart with fear. The driver chuckled, eyes aglow. Now let us to the frozen go, where traitors lie in ice-bound tombs, their treachery, their endless doom. The bus rolled on through icy plains, where frost and snow brought endless pains, until they reached a frozen lake, where traitors lay with hearts that quake. These souls, the driver said with glee, are frozen for eternity. Their deeds of treachery and lies have sealed their fate beneath these skies. The passengers saw frozen forms, locked in ice in endless storms, their faces etched with deep regret, their bodies trapped in cold, dark net. Each one betrayed a trust so dear, now lies entombed in ice severe, forever feeling cold and dread. Their souls are bound, their spirits dead. The bus moved on, the horrors grew, as endless scenes of hell they knew. They passed a river, dark and wide, where souls were drowned beneath the tide. Behold, the driver laughed with glee, the river of iniquity, where those who lived in lustful sin now drown in waters dark and thin. The passengers saw thrashing forms, pulled under by relentless storms. Their cries for help, their desperate pleas, were swallowed by the ghastly seas. Each one indulged in carnal vice, now pays the price, not once but twice. Their lungs are filled with water dark, their bodies cold, their spirits stark. The bus continued on its course, through hell's domains of dark remorse, each stop a new and frightful scene, each moment like a twisted dream. The driver, with his voice of dread, then turned to them and calmly said, "Now it is time to see your fate, your final stop at hell's dark gate." The passengers, with hearts that sank, felt their spirits harshly yank as the bus arrived at a grand gate where shadows danced and demons wait. "This gate," the driver said with mirth, "is where you'll find your hellish birth. For each of you a place is made, where your eternal dues are paid." The gate swung wide with creak and groan, revealing realms of endless moan, where each passenger would find their doom, their souls condemned to darkest gloom. The driver laughed, a chilling sound, as each one stepped on cursed ground. "Remember all you've seen this night, for now begins your endless plight." And so the bus, now empty, rolled through hell's domain so dark and cold, its journey done, its passengers gone, each one to face their own dark dawn. The driver, with a wicked grin, prepared to start his route again, For hell is vast and souls are many, and there's always room for all and any.